Welcome to the Resistance broadcast, everybody. That's right. It's our Star Wars podcast. It's our Thursday show. We're going to talk about Star Wars. That's what we do around here. My name's John. Thank you so much for joining me. James and Lacey with me, as always. We're going to be talking a little bit about time skips and what that means to Star Wars. They've been around since the old days, and whether or not our first television show, The Mandalorian, is going to be employing those sorts of things, which we'll find out in just 3 months or so. Mm-hmm. So guys, I wanted to ask you a question, because we all kind of have our Star Wars decor. Obviously, Lacey has all of her collectibles, and she has a billion posters. I have a bunch of posters. I have a bunch rolled up as well. James, you have your posters in frame and out of frame that we know is covering your room down there. Now, Acme Archives comes out with a new, James is doing a little pan, little MTV Cribs for people on YouTube to take a little 360 view of the room. Acme Archives puts out another set of original trilogy inspired or themed posters that everyone's going to want, or maybe have ordered already, who knows. And it has me thinking, like, just for example, say someone who's like, I want every Star Wars movie poster. So it's up to 11 at this point. Like, I want them all on my wall and all framed. Like, they make the tough decisions. Like me right now, I don't have the prequels up because they're my least favorite probably. But, you know, I have the sequels, I got Solo, I got the originals. Like, I wonder if people are like having those tough choices, like what's making the cut, what's not making the cut, because everyone keeps buying these posters. So I don't know, what do you guys think about Star Wars posters? And is the market hurt because everyone's out of wall space?
My first thought on this when you said this, Sean, is I said, I know there's always going to be people that, you know, have them and they never hang them up because they just don't have the little room. But the action, yeah, that we'll get to that in a minute. But my actual answer, the reason I think this sells is because very few of these posters go to the same people. Every time they release let's say a Rise of Skywalker poster, yeah, there's the main one, which a lot of people are going to buy, but then they're going to do like some side artistic version and only few are going to cross over. But for a lot of people, they probably don't have the original one. And then they see that one and they go, oh, that one's cool. Plus I need a Rise of Skywalker poster. So they opt for that one. And, I would say that probably, you know, close to, it's probably got to be like 98% or maybe even higher of people don't buy multiple of like the same movie. They just like, they go online and they search for like Indiana Jones poster, and 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to go with that theatrical one. But then, you know, a lot of people are probably just going to like scour and find one that they really think is cool from one particular artist and support them. And then that's the Indiana Jones poster that like hangs in their movie room or whatever.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. But then there's the Lacey's.
Lacey has the tubes.
Who is the 1%? Yeah.
All right. So in my house,
can you start by letting us know where you what do you have any framed and on walls? Like,
that's
where
what
are you
I was
at
about
with?
to do.
Okay. All right.
Oh.
So in my house, up on my wall, I have a Last Jedi one, 2 Last Jedi ones, a New Hope one, and a Force Awakens one downstairs. Like, those are the movie poster ones that I have from, I got them from Bottleneck, like, over the years. And then I also have, I would say probably, are we just talking movie posters, or are we talking like art prints, just movie posters?
Yeah, let's stick with that.
Yeah.
Across my room right now, there's about 6 rolled up movie posters, Star Wars movie posters. I have the smaller 11x17 versions of a lot of stuff. I have the Last Jedi one next to me. I have probably, there's one tube in this room that has, I think, 4 versions of a Last Jedi posters from Bottleneck. And then I have like the original trilogy that they did recently of all three of New Hope. I have those, so there's 3 in that tube. I probably have like, and the funny thing is, like, people listening are like, don't you have enough?
Right.
I probably have like 20 or 30 Star Wars posters.
You have a lot of Last Jedi posters.
I just feel like a lot of art was put out for The Last Jedi, and a lot of it came out prior to The Last Jedi. And it's all Kylo Ren specific.
Oh, okay.
So I have a lot of Kylo Ren, Rey stuff.
Were you have
that's my only regular posters that I own of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the only actual poster size. Everything else is like this stuff that you can see in frame, like the Solo and the Last Jedi. There's a Resistance one right next to it.
The bottleneck prints are usually full poster size. They're not...
So 24, 36?
Yeah. So I have a Mando one downstairs that's Last Jedi. That I got
have the
from
Celebration Orlando Rey Last Jedi one, right? Do you have that one? The famous one everyone loves, the Last Jedi teaser.
Yes.
Poster?
Yeah.
That's like that might be like the most favorite out of this era poster.
I like it because Mark signed it more than anything else. But
that was your tram experience or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. That makes sense. Do you have that hung up, that one?
Yeah. I can take it off the wall.
Take it off the wall and send it to me.
He signed it right here.
Does it say Lacey on it?
It says "Love to Lacey."
Darn. I was going to say.
With a heart.
That's amazing. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious what people out there, what their situations are. Because I know we have like a lot of our generals that do the Patreon pod race for us, and their rooms, like Andrew's, is like just like loaded. He's got posters and figures and stuff. And I wonder, like, everyone always has their Star Wars room, right? Like Lacey, you were telling
Star
us
Wars
about
house.
Yeah, you got to share the house, right? Not everyone likes Star Wars in the house. Like, this is my section here, and I'm shocked that I was able to get that much. But it's one of those discussions that fans don't really have, but maybe we should, because we're running out of real estate. They keep putting out more posters, and I'm wondering if it's going to be I just can't buy any more posters, guys. Okay?
I tweeted, I think in the last year at one point, like, True Life, I have no more wall space. Or something like that. Did you
really?
Yeah, and everyone was just like, me too. Like, everyone feels
there
that
you go.
way.
All right. So yeah, let us know where you guys are at with your wall space. Let's all talk about our wall space. Do we have any room left for posters? Because there's gonna be more series coming, and then do you add live action series posters to the walls?
I tried to kind of argue for more wall space. I was like, well, I could do it up the stairs, upstairs hallway, and I was shot down very quickly.
It's like you can have the garage
on the other side of the dining room table. Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, one thing we do have room for is fun segments. And James, I got good news for you, buddy. One with the Force is back, baby. Let's do one with the Force, man.
The Force is with me, and I'm one with the Force.
All right, one with the Force this week. So, in typical fashion, we got 4 questions that if this is your first time joining the show, I'm going to read the question, and then we get one answer. So that's why it's called One with the Force. Let's go ahead and get into that first question so that you get the feel for it. It's, which chapter of The Mandalorian would you show to someone who has never seen the show in order to give them the best representation of the series? Now, this is a weird question to begin with, because who shows somebody episode 4 first? But
George Lucas.
I think in the it's a good one, John. But I think it's a good idea of like which one do you think is like the one that kind of represents everything? So I'm starting with Lacey on this one. What's your chapter of choice?
Episode or chapter 3.
3. Okay. Why is that?
It has Baby Yoda in it. It kind of shows you that the Mandalorian has a good side, even though at the beginning of the episode you're like, how could you do that? It has the most action, it's the most interesting, and it leaves on a high note that leaves you wanting more.
Yep, that's a good one. John, what would be your episode that you'd show someone?
That was close for me, but I'm going with the other Deborah Chow one. I went with Chapter 7, The Reckoning, because we've met and gotten to know all of our main heroes and characters, and this is the one that brings them all together. So, Greef, Queel, Baby Yoda, Cara, and Mando are all working together, and IG-11. And it gave me that old school, like, we're together, we're doing this together, family Star Wars feel for the first time in Mandalorian, and it felt right. And them sitting around the fire, and Greef's cut up, and Baby Yoda heals him, and Queel's over there giving advice. It felt like that Star Wars teamwork thing that you felt in Rebels on the Ghost, and you feel in the original trilogy. So I think that is what I would want to showcase to people.
Yeah, it's weird. I kind of had like a real answer that I thought was going to get stolen, but you guys didn't take it, which was number 1.
All right.
I would go with Chapter 1, and not because of what I said before about like who shows somebody the middle of the story, but I do think that is a good point. Is that hey, if you're interested in this series, let me get started with Chapter 1.
Yeah.
They did that. They wanted to get you hooked in, so they made Chapter 1 the way they did for that exact reason. The other reason I would say it though is dissecting all of the elements of why they did it the way that they did it, right? You're being introduced to the character and you're getting to learn him for what he is, and then when the end of that episode comes, you just feel like you gotta I'm hooked. Now I feel like he's a different character, and this is the beginning of a really good arc for him. So I got to see the rest of it. Just really quick, like 10 seconds. My joke answer was episode 5. Because I'd be like, if you like this, it's all better than that. Dude. It's all better than that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
All right. The next one we got here is, which situation in Star Wars do you think you would have the best chance of surviving, or maybe even just escaping? So here are the 2 scenarios. You guys ready?
Yep.
Ready.
All right. Walking the plank for execution at the Great Pit of Carkoon above the Sarlaac, or good scene for Lacey. Loves that scene. The other one is hung upside down into ice inside the Wampa's cave. Good scene. John loves that scene.
Good scene.
So, which one do you think you would be more likely to survive, Lacey?
No. John's going first on this one.
Oh, all right. What do you think, John?
I'm going to go with the Pit of Carkoon plank because I feel like if I don't get out of there, like Luke got out of there and that wasn't even like his plan and it worked out, right? If I don't get out of there in that way and I get eaten by the Sarlaac, there's still a chance I can get out of there. There's still a chance. If Boba Fett's going to get out of there, that idiot can get out of there. There's still a chance I can get out of there. So I'm going to say that because I can't imagine breaking out of the ice because I can't use the Force, get a lightsaber. I would be eaten by the Wompa. I'd be dead.
Well, John's all Dumb and Dumber over here. So you're saying there's a chance. He gets in the Sarlaac. So you're saying there's a chance. Lacey, which one do you think you would escape?
I would die in both scenarios. So fast.
I think that's most people, honestly.
I would
even Boba Fett.
Yeah, it would probably be the Sarlaac pit, only because say I get out of the ice with the Wompa and somehow get away from the Wompa, you still are stuck in the snow, which is what happened to Luke, and then you get lost and then you die that way. So like the Sarlaac pit, at least like if I jump off the ship and miss the Sarlaac pit, at least I'm in the desert, which I feel like I could go a little bit further in heat than I could in the cold. Because at least
you could see.
Right.
Yeah.
Although most likely I'd just become Jabba's slave, so at least there's some out there for me eventually.
Then you choke him out.
Yeah.
So this question was really funny for me because I was like walking the plank. Oh my gosh, yeah, no, man. I would not get out of that. There's no way. So I'm gonna choose whatever the other one is. And then it's like hung upside down in the ice cube thing, and I'm like, no one is escaping that. That's just.
I still don't understand how he got stuck up there.
Death.
I still stand by that when we talked about it on the Patreon commentary for Empire Strikes Back. Mm-hmm. How did that happen? Someone explain that to me because it makes no sense.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like. Even Luke himself, now granted he was a master in one and it wasn't in the other, like Luke barely survived that Wompa encounter.
Yep.
And it was like the Jabba thing was nothing to him.
Just but I like
100% like take Star Wars out of this. Like even if it was just like you're on a boat and somebody's trying to get you to walk off of the plank and fall into the ocean, how would I get out of that versus fighting, like being stuck permanently, like you were saying in the ice, John?
How? Yeah.
And then if I get away from that, I have to fight a grizzly bear. That's not happening. And I'm not running away. That thing's chasing me. Right. Yeah. Then even on top of that, if you, like Lacey said, if you somehow miraculously get out of those two situations, you're stuck in the thing. No, dead, 100%. That's the answer. So we all went the same one, but
I was just thinking of like fun talk. Real quick, like diving board fails that you see on like Instagram and stuff. Like imagine you try to pull
like 1, 2, and then slip,
or it snaps. You try to pull like a Luke maneuver and you go to grab it and you slip and you just like wow, you fall down into the sarlaac pit. Like,
or like the Goonies, they all just jumped off, right?
Yeah, like Luke was very confident with that diving board.
My favorite thing when I was little is like you get excited and you're like, I'm going to go off the diving board. And then you get there and you realize that it's way too high. So then you're like, well, then I'm just going to sit down and go off the diving board. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, no, I can't do this. And then you somehow like maneuver your way down. And all I was thinking is like, as an adult doing that in Luke's position where you're like, no, let me just
sits try. On it.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty funny.
Job is like, can you not, like, that's exactly what would happen with me. You'd be like, no, can you... What is happening?
He's like afraid of heights, so he does what he does at the end of Empire Strikes Back. He's like crawling backwards.
And then like you always have the other kids who are waiting, so Han's like, come on, just go.
Yeah, right. Just jump off. Yeah, I was not a big diving board fan either. I always went on the absolute shortest one, and I would like pencil in, like just straight in, and then I'd go really deep, because I'm just like, a straight thing. And I was like, I can't breathe. I'm trying to get to the top as fast as I can. No way I'm going in the bigger one.
Well, here's the kicker. I had swimmies on when I did that. And there's a whole video at my parents' house of me doing it for about 20 minutes. Nice. And my dad's giving a commentary of like, what is she doing?
Post it. Yeah. Patreon tier 6.
Like, what is she doing? Yeah. And I'm just grabbing onto it and yelling, Dad, help. And my dad's just filming going like, what is she doing? And then there's a moment where I just let go and I kind of just fall a little bit because it's not that high up. Right. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And then I start swimming with my swimmies on.
And then the confidence is there. Man. The swimmy confidence is
I'm already, I'm in.
Yeah. Gold.
All right, next question, guys. So Hasbro recently revealed the Cloud City Carbon Chamber Room action figure playset. It's a lot of descriptive words. What Star Wars set do you think would be the coolest play set? Now, Lacey, you got out of the last one, so you're going first on this one. What do you think?
I didn't get out of it. I was letting John answer first, but I do have an answer for this one really quick. Maz's Castle. Easy. I think that's a really cool set. I wish we got to see more of it. I hope we see more of it in the future. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Solo 2. I think there's like tons of cool creatures and aliens and droids that could come with it. There's multi-levels because you have the level down at the bottom where Rey goes.
That is cool. Yeah.
So yeah, probably Maz's Castle. And it comes with the little flags.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like Mando flags.
What's your choice?
So I was going to say it's, similar. I was going to say the old school Mos Eisley Cantina.
Mm-hmm.
Get a little Han Solo there. Huh?
That exists.
Well, I'm sure they made a variation of it, like a garbage one. But I mean, like, is there a modern one with like all the fine detail and all that stuff? You know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'd get my Han Solo, have his foot up, just getting ready to like grease Greedo.
Mm-hmm.
Get the bartender there, have him kicking out the droids, all the little creatures, the band,
The IG-11 heads.
Yeah, and then you can use it for Mando now. Like, there's a lot you can do with it now. Yeah, the IG heads in behind the bar, good call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Little Mos Eisley. I'm sure there is a version of it, but
There's an old school version. I get what you're saying, like a newer, updated one.
yeah, like that old Ewok village sucks, you know? Right?
It
So,
has elevators and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I think John has kind of nailed the idea here, is that it's not even like a real playset. It's like if a genie showed up and you could like boom and you like get all the toys and action figures and stuff.
Well,
That's how
Lacey
I
said
kinda
hers would
pictured
if
this.
hers came with the aliens, you know, for Maz's bar, but
Yeah,
like that fat
So-
guy,
yeah. So I was
The
kind of
Grumgar,
stuck
I
between
think is his
two.
name.
fat guy.
Fat guy works. I was kind of stuck between two, and one of them was The Empire Strikes Back with the bounty hunters or whatever. And the reason I was gonna go with that was because I could like get all the characters. And then I thought, well, if I wanted all the characters or I wanted all the toys and not so much even the set, then you gotta go with Agent Kloss, the end of Rise of Skywalker.
Ooh.
Because I'm picturing this playset and I'm thinking you got C-3PO, R2-D2, Chewbacca, Maz Kanata, Finn, Rey, Poe, and then maybe even ancillary aliens and other things. But then even then you got Luke's X-Wing, the Millennium Falcon, and the Ghost is there. I'm like, that.
Oh, that's a good point.
But picture the
That's the
commercial for
coolest
mine.
playship.
A girl's playing with Takodana being like, haha, and it's like, and then Kylo Ren comes and they just smash
Yeah.
it.
Dun,
Oh, I was going to ask
dun,
Lacey,
dun.
does yours fall apart? Like, does the top
Oh,
of the
yeah,
tower
it does.
fall?
Yeah, it does. And it
You
has like
push a button and it like falls into like
Yeah.
5 pieces.
Kylo Ren, right?
Yeah.
I like that.
All those are awesome.
I would
man.
buy all of
That's-
these.
Come on,
Yeah.
Hasbro, hire me. I mean, what?
Yeah.
What'd you say? We got one more, guys, and this one involves the Emperor. Ian McDiarmid has appeared in 6 Star Wars movies as Palpatine. That's episodes 1 through 3, 1, 2, and 3, right? 5, 6, and 9. So we're not necessarily looking for the best movie he is in, but which movie would you guys pick as the one movie that fully encapsulates Palpatine, the best use of Palpatine or his best performance? So John, this is starting off with you. What do you think?
I thought about this for a while, and like my go-to would always be like Return of the Jedi, just because it was like that's like the best version of the Emperor to me, still to this day. But Palpatine overall, I'm surprised that I came to this, but I'm going with the Phantom Menace because he plays both sides of the aisle. He's Sidious, which is more like how we know Palpatine with Viceroy and Darth Maul, but then he's also a normal-looking politician who is really just in the ear of this naive queen, kind of pulling the strings and making everything happen, leading up to him taking over and becoming chancellor, and like playing reverse psychology. And like, if you really think about all his calculations in that movie and playing both characters, I think that's his best. And I know, a lot of people may say Revenge of the Sith too, but I feel like he went a little cheeseball on us at the end of that one. But I gotta go Phantom Menace.
Lacey, what are you going with? What's your answer?
Return of the Jedi. He's evil.
Mhm.
He's creepy. He has some of the best lines in that movie. He creates the most conflict in the movie, and you get to see him like shoot lightning and stuff. It's just, he's bad.
Question real quick. When you say he has some of the best lines in the movie, do you mean that some of the best lines in Return of the Jedi are Palpatine's, or some of the best Palpatine lines are in that movie?
I mean, kind of both. He has some of the most
I guess
meaningful
that's fair.
lines in the movie, but also some of the best lines that Palpatine's ever said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think I agree with John. Like when he's the Emperor in The Rise of Skywalker, but also in the prequels, he gets, I don't know, it isn't the same as Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, there's something about that they captured perfectly. I don't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, I think it was with John. My first thought was Return of the Jedi. Then I started thinking a little bit more about Palpatine, and I thought maybe that Revenge of the Sith might be the best answer because you get a little bit of both, right? But I agree with you that his Emperor at the end is not the best Emperor by any means.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably the worst that we've ever seen that Emperor after we've seen, you know, Empire and Return of the Jedi and even Rise of Skywalker. I wish I had a little bit more time, but I almost want to say like past Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, maybe. But I still think my answer is going to be Revenge of the Sith. I think it's got to be. I just think because it is what you guys are saying. Like there's this Palpatine and then there's that Palpatine, or there's Palpatine and then there's the Emperor, and that's the only movie that you really get both in the movie, even if they aren't necessarily the best versions of themselves. That you could almost show somebody like, hey, this is this character, and they see him at one way and they see him the other way. So, so I'm going to go with Revenge of the Sith on that one.
I like that we've been all having different answers.
Yeah, that's rare, right? We always
it depends on who's leaving the review for us. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. All right, well, that's it for One with the Force. Good one this week, John. Lots of good questions. Would you have any good discussion topics for us?
Oh, James, let me tell you. Let me skip to the discussion.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
The span of time that takes place between Star Wars films varies from 1 year to 30 years, depending on which films. Time skips offer the chance for storytellers to advance their stories and leave gap filling to other media at a later date. The Mandalorian Season 2 is just a few months away, and being that it is the first Star Wars live-action television series, it remains to be seen if it will utilize time skips or pick up right where we left off. So let's just kind of have a chat about it. Time skips in Star Wars, will they be used in the live-action series the same way that they've used them in the films? So I first thought of this because of this is a rare thing with Star Wars where we're doing something for the first time, and that's these television series. So the Mando gets to set the ground and set the bar for television series. Do we do the same way as the movies, or do we do it differently? So I don't know. My first thought on this is like I think about a bunch of other series, and there are plenty of TV shows in the vein of a Mandalorian, which is like these streaming shows with multiple seasons, and some pick up immediately, some do jumps. Now, my first thought was I'm stalling because my notes just froze. There are a lot of shows that have kids and you have to force a time skip because they age, and like something like the Stranger Things, like these kids are going through puberty, and it'd be weird if it's like it's next Tuesday and the kid grew 8 inches and his voice is deeper now.
That was like a big problem for them actually, and drove what the story was because the kids were growing at such a rate they couldn't keep up.
Yeah, especially that one kid. Like the worst is when you're friends and you're like the last one to go through puberty, and all your buddies are like 6 foot tall, and you're still like the little kid, like Will. He's still like looks like he's 8 years old. But I don't know that Mando has that problem unless Baby Yoda's real, and then we're dealing with some issues there. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know that Mando has to do it, but the thing that makes me think it will is, and maybe Favreau doesn't care about this, and I'll see what you guys think about this, but because we have that novel coming out, is that taking place after season 1? All these other things that maybe will be used to fill gaps to, I hate to say it, make more money. If you leave a separation there, there's a lot of room to fill in comics and games and books and stuff if you do a year gap or something like that. So I'm really not sure where Mando's going with it, but Star Wars, certainly doesn't shy away from it. If you take the original trilogy in a vacuum when it first came out, you can make the argument that all those things happen right up against each other. You know, at the end of Empire Strikes Back, Luke says, we'll meet at the rendezvous point on Tatooine to go save Han. That sounds like Tuesday to me. It doesn't sound like a year later, which canonically now they say it's a year later. So they do like creating these gaps so that they can add different types of media and books and stuff to sell stuff. Are they going to go that route with The Mandalorian? So, Lacey, I'm going to start with you. What do you think where we're at? What do you think about, and use any kind of comparisons you want, whether it's other shows that aren't Star Wars or Star Wars movies. What are we thinking here?
I'm trying to think. I'm like going blank right now with, you know, shows that I watch that have kind of a time jump. And I mean, I like love The Office, and there isn't much of a time jump with those. And like, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Usually a lot of the shows growing up that I would watch is like school related shows. So you'd be like, yes, it's the next year of school. So it's like it was already kind of set with that time skip, time jump.
I think The Office kind of does that too.
Yeah, so like they always have a Halloween episode and they always have a Christmas episode. Mm-hmm. The time drives the storyline. And I think that concept is gonna play into The Mandalorian. I think they would miss the opportunity to develop the story more and to take the relationships further, especially between the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, if they picked up right where the first season ended. Because those first chapters are him dealing with having this baby and not knowing what to do at first, to then deciding this is my baby. To the last episode, Baby Yoda is grabbing his legs and hugging him like he's a dad. Like, right. They had to develop that. So now that they have that, I don't think they're going to then go into season 2 with him trying to figure that out. They've already kind of had those moments of figuring it out. I think you're going to meet up with the two of them again when they've already been together for a little bit. Now that could be like 6 months to a year, 3 years, whatever. I think it's going to be no more than a year, but it would allow them to have some type of normal relationship in the sense of understanding each other better. And it allows to then push the story that much further that you're not stuck in this, like, because we even said it on the Mando fan show, like some of the episodes you felt like, okay, they keep having these moments with Baby Yoda where he doesn't really understand it and it's being all cutesy and whatever. Like, they need those moments to move forward and move past that. And the only way you're going to do that is if you move the time forward. And then also it would allow time to develop Cara Dune and Greef Karga and like what happened to those characters that I ultimately think, as an example in Star Wars, The Last Jedi missed. Like, I think by having that movie pick up right where The Force Awakens ended, you missed an opportunity to see more character development within those characters from the moment you meet them to where they are in The Last Jedi. And then you have a time jump in the third one and you're like, what is happening? Like, I think, and it's probably from watching the original trilogy and then also the prequels, where you meet little Annie, then you meet teenage Annie, then you meet angsty Annie. Like, you see that growth because there's time jumps, and I don't know if it's because I'm used to that. The sequel trilogy with the lack of time jump, I was like, I feel like I'm missing something because there was nothing here. So I think they're gonna definitely do a time jump for The Mandalorian. Like you said, John, I don't think they're gonna do anything more than a year, because then it gets into like, okay, so he's had this baby for a year and no one's bothered him for a year. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah. That's a good point in terms of their relationship, and let's push that thing forward. James, where are you at initially off the bat with this time skip thing? Do you like that they've pushed it further with Star Wars, especially the original trilogy, and what do you think they're going to do with Mando? Are you with what Lacey's saying here?
I actually think I'm 100% with Lacey on this one, actually.
Okay.
What?
I think her explanation of why it needs to take place a year later is so that we start season 2. Like, it kind of reminds me of like shows where, you know, like the very first 5 minutes of season 2, like, will be like you meet a character and now they have like a goatee and you're like, what? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, even something as simple as like a character having facial hair could indicate that things have changed about this person.
Which is why I think a lot of us wanted to see a trained Rey in The Rise of Skywalker. Like, we wanted that time jump to be like, okay, we're past this now. She's a professional.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm with you. I'm also of the mindset too. Like, hey man, you don't make a movie with Rey holding the lightsaber out and then like skip ahead a year. But I understand that, and I think one of the biggest ones for me, the first reason I landed on why I think it would be a year later is actually because of Cara Dune and Greef Karga. And you mentioned that too, and I was like, okay, that's kind of where I was too. I feel like they were totally separated characters, and Greef on one end is almost like kind of like a bad guy, but then in the very end of that show, they kind of leave together, and you almost kind of go, okay, so there's the Baby Yoda Mandalorian, Greef Karga, Cara Dune separation there. And when they need to reunite in season 2, I don't think Cara and Greef are going to be separated. They're going to be able to tell you what they've been doing in the meantime, like,
or bring someone back with them. Yeah,
we've set up shop here. This is what we've been doing. We now sell goods to these people, or whatever the story is, or we actually got lost and have been circling the planet for a year, or whatever the story ends up being. I think we have to recognize that those two are going to be pals.
Right.
At least to some degree, or they have been for the past year. And if we pick the show up right off, then you have that like uneasiness that is I don't know. In a way I could see it, but like I don't think it's as interesting as seeing how far they've come right from the get-go and then stepping off from there.
Yeah.
And the same thing applies with Yoda and Baby Yoda, I mean, and other things like that. So I will say this just real quick.
Yeah.
I remember watching a review for the Fantastic Four movie, and somebody said it was decent until you got to when all of them got their powers and they figured it out, and then the movie randomly goes 1 year later. And that's the point at which you go, no, I want to see them now.
Right, figure it out.
Now that they've figured it out, like, this is the thing. I don't want to see them a year like, oh, we already went through the process of mastering our powers and we already know what we're doing. And it's just, I understood that very much so. So now that they've fermented their lives and where they're going to go, why, I could see the argument of why would we want to skip ahead a year?
I think, Jon Favreau doesn't do anything by coincidence or mistake. And like, there's signs pointing to the ease of which they can do a time skip. He didn't cast any notable children in this show. Even the kids in the village are just faces. They didn't give them really names. They're interchangeable. Even the kid that hugged Baby Yoda, I couldn't pick that kid out in the lineup. And to that point, they're going back to the village allegedly in this show. It wouldn't make sense for him to go immediately back there. Like, hey, we just left. I just want to make sure you guys are good. Just want to hop back over. Okay, you're good. No, they want a year later to maybe see what can mature out of that between him and O'Mara.
Or she's with someone new and he shows up and he's like, oh, what I could have had type thing.
Could very well be.
Yeah.
Also, like you guys both brought up, the sequel trilogy example, JJ moving the story forward for episode 9 because you needed Rey and Poe to have an established relationship.
Sure.
So that they can have those bickering moments that you see that we love at the beginning of that movie where it's not, hey, nice to meet you, let's still be awkward and get to know each other in the final movie of the trilogy. It's like, no, we have to have made these three been through stuff so that the relationship's there. It needs to have that stability. And that's what we can get with these characters now that we saw them in Chapter 7 get together, Chapter 8 conclude. And then also you can add the Favreau element of action figures and stuff. Like Mando could start season 2 with a jetpack and start whipping around and doing cool stuff that he's been talking about he wanted to get when he saw the first guy, first CGI Mando out his window flying with a jetpack. He said, I got to get one of those. Imagine him kicking off season 2 with a jetpack. That'd be kind of cool. And then the other part is the only question for me, and that's Moff Gideon. He busts out of the TIE fighter with the Darksaber. He's not sitting around for a year waiting. So are we starting season 2 with a time jump where he's mobilizing forces or harnessing his skills, or what has he been doing? So the antagonistic side of that is the only thing that's a question for me. What is he doing during the time, if there is a time jump, which I think we all agree that there's going to be.
Yeah, I bet they're going to do something with him where he's talking to a bunch of people and he's like, give me a report. And they're like, oh, we haven't found them. He's like, how can you have not found them? We've been looking for them for blank time. You know what I mean? Like, that's easy way to write it away. To just be like, how could you not have found them yet?
It's been 8 months, 3 days, and 16 hours.
Not that specific.
No, I know.
But, like we've been to 8 planets, 2 solar systems. We've been to the mid-rim, whatever. Like, how have you not found them yet? And then it would cut to the Mandalorian somewhere else. Like, there are ways they could write around a time jump that would make sense for Moff Gideon to continue to mobilize, would explain more what he's looking for. You can go into more of why he wants Baby Yoda so bad, and maybe even show examples of other things that he's taken to clone or do whatever. Like, there are other things that they can do that you'd then be like, oh, like, he hasn't stopped being bad. Like, he's even more bad.
That's true. We haven't seen his turf yet, right? He's always coming on their turf. So maybe we're going to go to his base or his compound and, see his forces. And like you say, maybe other people he's kidnapped or stuff.
Right.
And also, what about the maturation of Baby Yoda? Like, I know it's only a year, and for a 900 lifespan, that's nothing. That's an hour. But
he's 51 now.
But Yoda was fully grown by 90 years old or whatever, because he's teaching Jedi by the time he was age 100. So maybe a year for growth for that species is big, and maybe that plays into it. Maybe Baby Yoda starts talking.
I was going to say talking because the toys come out in December. So if they wanted to add voices to it, that would be the time.
God, those things are going to sell.
I already have one.
Wait, what do you mean?
Pre-ordered.
She's saying it's already like...
Oh, it's already pre-orderable? But it doesn't say whether it talks or not, right? Yeah. Like, imagine they're going to give him a cute voice, but it has to probably be a little Yoda-y, so it's not like...
Imagine if he talks the same way too, like backwards.
You gotta...
Yeah, we never heard Yaddle talk, so...
Right.
Yeah, you don't know if it's like all Yodas or just Yoda or...
Right. What do you guys think of the Moff Gideon thing? I know, Lacey, you kind of said, like, is he kidnapping other people and what's going on there? I think we got to see his side of things. James, where are you at with... Is Moff Gideon, does that make it a question mark for you, whether they're going to time jump this thing, or do you think there's a perfect way to explain that?
I think that when you brought him up, that puts a little bit of kink in the theory that it's a year later, because I have a harder time picturing what has this guy been doing for a year. He's the kind of guy that he was just put in that situation really quick to get the baby back from these 3 people, and he knows everything about them. That I feel it's hard to believe that these people escaped and he hasn't been able to track them down for a year. But I mean, I think the explanations that you guys gave are fine. They can do that, and they can say, "We've finally found them, sir," and that just be it. Lacey, I mean, you think, like, pitch me something then, like a little bit more than just beyond that. Like, I'm having a hard time believing that, he just went the whole year. How would it take him that long to find him?
So that's the thing, is like, we don't know enough about Mando yet to know his skills of hiding. Like, we've only seen him going back to places that he already knew. We haven't seen him run away.
Mm-hmm.
No, he ran away to the place with Cara Dune. Like, he chose that spot.
Right, but then he went back because he knew he had to deal with what he had to deal with. He wasn't fully on the run yet. Like, he wasn't like, yes, I am now on the run permanently.
Yeah, he was like laying low. It was more of like a lay low than a let me hide out.
I just think that it's I'm trying to think of an example like from another movie or show, and I know there are some out there of the main character hiding out from the bad guy or trying to get Hunger Games. Hunger Games is a time jump, and she goes and hides in District 13.
Mm-hmm.
And like they don't come for her. She like has to, go after them.
I'm trying to think because I feel like creators and filmmakers and stuff have things they like to use and utilize.
Mm-hmm.
Did Favreau do time skips? I feel like in Iron Man he did. And that was
like from 1 to 2?
No, like in 1. Like when Tony
one?
gets kidnapped and he's over there in the Middle East. Didn't they say like
he's
a year
over
later?
there for a period of time? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think time skips are not foreign to Favreau, which I think is an important thing for us to bring up here, because I really do feel like filmmakers, if they have utilized something before, they're not afraid to use it again. And if he finds an opportunity to do that and knows that he's done it before and done it well with something like an Iron Man, which launched the MCU, that was a big risk. I feel like he has a safer bet now with a stable foundation with Mandalorian Season 1 where he can say, like, I can jump this thing. Like, I can make this work.
Right, but it has to be in the way that James has been saying it, whereas Iron Man, yes, he was in the desert in this country, a prisoner for a long period of time because he had to build this Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
There needs to be an explanation for that time period of because no one's going to look at this and be like, oh yeah, Tony Stark built this suit in 3 days. No, he needed to be there for a while. He needed to struggle. He needed to realize how desperate the situation was over an extended period of time. So I understand what James is saying. He's like, okay, say you have a time jump. Why wouldn't this guy with all these stormtroopers and all these things and has all this information, including this guy's real name, you're telling me that he can't find him?
It actually
I mean, he knew like Cara Dune,
right?
Yeah, he knew like all this stuff about these people, and I think John, you have a good point. Is we talked about on Monday that the novelization is or not a novelization, but it's an original story, and then it's coming out after season 2 airs.
Yeah,
I think that does point to, like everybody is hot off of season 2. You're going to do a prequel to season 1. It's like, no, you're going to tell the story of how we got to season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that intermediate story over the course of a year, it'd be like, hey, you don't need to know what happens, but if you want to know what happens, I got all the canon fun details for you. We already wrote it.
I wonder
they're
if
not doing a minute. Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say they're not.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Walking down the sidewalk, you go left, I go left. I was just going to say, they're not doing a Mandalorian original novel that doesn't involve Baby Yoda. So doing a prequel doesn't involve Baby Yoda. So that's another
That's
thing.
a good point. Yeah.
Lacey, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that maybe the novel's about Moff Gideon.
That could, I mean, that could be cool to help try to build up his story and like make him more ruthless. Like something about him like taking out a village. We know that's a big thing.
Like that's a prequel that I think would be understandable, and you'd be like, I want to know what happened with this guy before this.
Like the book is how he got the Darksaber, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's interesting.
I mean, don't forget too that like even in a movie like we say, The Empire Strikes takes back. The Empire Strikes Back takes place here. There are time skips in these movies too.
Yeah.
And there is in Mandalorian as well. I mean, We know that, like, you know, episode 5, he goes on a mission. Episode 6, he goes on a different mission. Episode 7, he's now over here. There's nothing to say that wasn't over the course of weeks. And a novel that what the guy's writing, I mean, that could be a mission that he went on, just one random way to make money or food or whatever the story is, that happened in between 5 and 6 before he met up with his friend. Or his old friend or whatever,
right.
Back on that ship, but I gotta think we've set it up. I've got to think we're all in this agreement, right? Mandalorian season 1, Mandalorian season 2 takes place 1 year later. They're writing a novel. The novel is the story between the year.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes a lot of sense. Like Lacey's first reason about building up that relationship between Baby Yoda and Mando, where it's no more of like getting to know you. It's like, no, they're going to be in the cockpit. He's going to throw him the ball from the thing and be like, there you go, buddy. And like, they're going to be in the pocket.
Or maybe he's more active. Like he walks more. He's climbing over stuff.
Walking, talking. Yeah.
Or he says like not exactly, but like a punch it, and he like pushes the button and they're being helpful now instead of him being like a nuisance.
And how do you
and you're
sell
like,
more?
Man, they're a team. That's cool.
How do you sell? And I know Favreau probably doesn't give a you know what, but how do you sell more Baby Yoda toys? You have him doing things that your last round of Baby Yoda toys didn't do, and that's speaking English, and you know maybe does a power or he looks a little different or something.
Different outfit.
Yeah, but I know
No.
A different outfit. He's just wearing a little Mando suit.
Yeah.
But, you know...
I'm saying,
not
for my
necessarily
wallet,
a different
not for...
Mando suit.
your wallet. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Please not.
Your Baby Yoda behind you's nervous that he's going to get replaced with another version.
I already have
But you do think about that, man. I mean, everybody jokes around about the potato sack that he's in or whatever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like... when you're on the run and stuff, like, and you're looking for food and money, like, what are you going to do? Like, his outfit was not of any importance. But a year later, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a new outfit for Baby Yoda.
Little suit.
He's got some, you guys are being silly, a little suit.
Oh, I meant like a
too,
jumpsuit.
I mean, I just mean like something that's
I meant like a 3-piece
more
suit.
suited for a regular everyday outfit for him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, story obviously first, because like we say, you know, Favreau, he told Hasbro to take a hike. Like, he's not worried about that stuff. He wants it. Everything else is successful off of the success of the show, and they understand that, and Favreau and Filoni understand that. So I think all those points we brought up in terms of the story itself makes the most sense for them to employ a time jump, and then all the other stuff is just cherry on the sundae that they can make more content and more, you know, action figures, stuff like that. So you guys have any final thoughts on this before we move on? James, your any final thing you want to say about or a final call? Are they going to do it? Are they not? What do you think?
I do think they're going to do it. I think it would suit the story better. And I do think that it suits the other material, like we talked about. Like, it's a good thing that, you know, there's 3 years between 4 and 5 and a year between 5 and 6, because they can write tons and tons of other middle ground stuff.
Good.
And I just think it's gonna help. Like Lacey was saying too, like it's something we didn't get in the sequels.
Yeah. Lacey, what? So your final? Did you take anything out of this conversation from when going in? Or
Absolutely not. No, I don't know.
So you think we're definitely getting it? And final thoughts?
Yeah, I think we're gonna get a time jump. I think they have to explain the relationship between Mando and Baby Yoda. I also think that if they put Baby Yoda in another outfit, I'm in trouble.
All right. Your wallet is going to be hurting.
It already is.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree with you guys. I think time jump's going to happen. How far, we're not sure. My only question is what they do with Moff Gideon, but I'm eager to see what they end up doing with him. But I think that means we are going to maybe start season 2 by getting a glimpse of his home turf for wherever he's stationed out of. And maybe we'll be blown away by his vast... not empire, but his vast troops and artillery and all the stuff he's got going on. And we'll see. But let us know what you guys think in the comments. Time skips in Star Wars, do you like them? Are they good for the storytelling? Do they help? Obviously, they help the storytellers push the characters forward and build those relationships. But what do you think of those? And more importantly, do you think we're going to get one in Season 2 of The Mandalorian like the three of us do? So we hope you enjoyed this. But now it is time to hear from you in this moment in Resistance Transmissions. Lacey?
All right, guys, it's time for Resistance Transmissions. So the way that this works is every week, John puts up a crazy, wacky situation, and you guys give your answers. So I've never seen the scenario for people new to the show. I don't know what it is. I don't know what people said, so I kind of read it live, and we'll see what happens. All right, so the situation is Dennis, a former First Order employee, finds Kylo Ren's mask while rummaging through his quarters and sells it on eBay to make quick cash. What is the item description, or what's a question a potential buyer asks?
John's moved into optional answers now.
Option 1, the descriptions. All right. Wait. Oh, God. Oh, God. Hold on. My phone is messing up. Ugh.
Created a version delaying the show. Gonna talk about Kylo Ren's mask for cash.
Delaying.
There we go. Okay.
Mask for cash app.
First up is Andrew Staley at Deuce_Staley. And Andrew says, helmet from former Darth Vader fanboy, used and abused, but still in good working order. Helps with your bad guy image, even if you're still good. Call Dennis at Exegol1138.
I love the Easter eggs.
Yes. Next is Kevin Lewis at Thronzon fan. Man, Kevin is having quite the week.
Big week for Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin. Kevin. I wonder how many times he hears that. So anyway, his description was Darth Vader cosplay mask. Want to be the legendary Dark Lord of the Sith, but don't have the skills, talent, or intimidation factor.
Oh.
This mask is just right for you. 10 credits, OBO.
Oh, boy.
Or best offer.
Kevin is throwing shade at Kylo Ren.
Kevin's on eBay with these little abbreviations.
Yeah.
Like new in box, stuff like that.
Right.
Anyway, all right. Next up is John Reese at John S. Reese. And John said, super cool helmet for sale, size XL, specially designed so when you remove it, your hair is perfectly coiffed. Like you just left the salon. Makes sense, right? Perfect for killing a village or an intimate bridge chat with dear old dad where you kill him.
Oh my God, you need the hair intact per plus for killing your dad.
Perfectly coiffed. Yeah. Next is Semperfi Danny at Semperfi Danny. And Danny said, this mask will let you see the power of the dark side. Disclaimer, item may not show you the power of the dark side. Item may break if you're prone to outbursts. Complimentary red glue included. Do not wear in the shade. May cause hallucinations.
Wow.
And last but not least is Steve Semple at Semple_Steve. And Steve said, postmodern chip bowl for sale. Definitely not a helmet shattered into tiny pieces and mended by a space monkey, and absolutely not previously owned by a mass murderer who once appeared on Undercover Boss to check we were all doing a good job. Any offers greatly accepted. All right, now part 2. Questions strike back, I guess. This is now the questions for the item from people that would like to buy it.
Oh, okay.
Up first is Mello at A Gray Jedi, and Mello said, question, does it come with a lightsaber? Cough, cough. I am looking to expand, cough, cough, collection.
Excellent.
All right. Next is Jeremy at JE Camp 86. And he wrote, question from buyer. What does slightly damaged mean?
That's always a question when someone posts an item.
Lightly used, yeah.
Yeah, slightly damaged.
I tried to list my iPhone one time on eBay, and I didn't get very good offers or any really at all. And my brother was like, I'll be honest, man, I sell stuff on eBay all the time. Your description's too good. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah, you just need to say like what it is as basic as you can, because as soon as you go into like more details about like where the scratches are, whatever, people just, they don't read it and they assume that it's fake because you're trying to be too detailed or something. And I'm like,
you just include pictures of all the problems with it, usually.
Dude, I just couldn't believe it, but he was right when I changed it to like iPhone AT&T 64 gig gold. It was like they was like gone. I was like, seriously, I didn't even like. I even made a video showing it, and it was like nothing. He's like, you just put too many details in there, man.
Next is Stephen Bowman at Stephen A. Bowman. And Stephen says, does it come with the head still inside? And how much hitting do you think it could take as if someone were grieving and needed to take out her rage? Thanks, Mrs. Booleal.
Revenge.
I honestly didn't know where that was going. And I was like, all right.
Win the war.
And last but not least is Adam Odell at Odell Adam, who said, question for the seller, is redemption included with the mask or is that sold separately? Dun, 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 dun. All right, guys, if you want to be a part of the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. Every week, John puts up a crazy scenario and you give your answers and I read them on the show. We talk about your handle. It's a good time. So yeah, now back to John.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for those and for watching, listening, being a part of the TRB community. We love you guys. Make sure you do subscribe to the show. You can do that on YouTube. We're getting close to 5,000 subscribers, so get us there. Spread the word. Appreciate that. Or if you're audio prone, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, any audio app, we're there 2 times a week, so make sure you do subscribe so you're caught up on all your TRB episodes. Head to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for all of your Star Wars news. Teespring.com/stores/Resistance Broadcast for all of our merch, including Make Solo 2 Happen, Gary the Porg, Supreme Leader, like Lacey is modeling off today, and a bunch of all of our other designs, mostly designed by James over there. Patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast if you'd like to support us. Tiers start at $2 a month, all the way up to tier 5. I want to say a special thank you to our Resistance Generals. That is Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, John Reese, Micah Harrison, Michael Gaines, Jetta Rosewater, Bethany, Russ, and Kendall Gellner. Thank you, Generals, so much for all of your support. We really appreciate it. And all of our patrons, our Resistance officers over there, thank you so much. We have our Patreon exclusive commentary of The Empire Strikes Back coming soon for you over there. So again, thank you for all of your continued support. And on to our next goal when we hit 160 Resistance officers, we're going to be doing some Mando commentaries. So help us get there. And again, just really thank you all for your support. Couldn't do it without you. You guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and at StarWarsNewsNet.com. James?
Twitter as always, and Instagram at Myra Trunks.
Lacey?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin.
All right, that is it. Another TRB in the books. Let us know what you think in the comments. Always share the show with your friends. And more importantly, we hope everyone's safe, healthy, well. Enjoy your weekends. And we'll see you on Monday morning with another episode of the Resistance Broadcast. See you around, kids.